नमस्ते। परीक्षा पर्व 3.0 के इस लाइव स्ट्रीम में सभी बच्चों, अभिभावकों और शिक्षकों का स्वागत है। नमस्ते and welcome to this live stream Pariksha Parv 3.0. All the students, parents and teachers, thank you for joining us. I'm your host निवेदिता तिवारी। आज हमारे साथ बातचीत करने के लिए स्टूडियो में हैं स्वामी नित्यदीप नंदा जी। He is a monk of the Ramakrishna Order and the Assistant Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission, New Delhi. Swamiji he joined the Ramakrishna Mission as a brahmachari in the year 1991 at one of its branch centers in Jamshedpur. He was ordained into sannyasa in year 2001. He served in various capacities for nearly 18 years at the Ramakrishna Mission Jamshedpur, which is one of the biggest institutions of the Ramakrishna Mission that runs 16 schools with about 10,000 students. Since the year 2014, he was placed at the monastic training center at the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission Belur Mutt, Howrah. The monastic training center is an institution for training the brahmacharis who are aspiring to become monks of the Ramakrishna order. He served there in capacity of an acharya for 3 years and later as its principal for 2 years. Swamiji, thank you for joining us. Namaste. हम सभी दर्शकों को याद दिला दें कि ये लाइव स्ट्रीम NCPCR और न्यू इंडिया जंक्शन के YouTube और Facebook चैनल्स पर आप देख सकते हैं। So Swamiji, we all know and we are thinking of this as Pariksha Parv, but we've all been through the stress of exams and especially जब से COVID-19 pandemic हुआ है उसकी वजह से ये स्ट्रेस और ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है। What would you like to tell our students who are watching this and the parents and the teachers how to deal with this stress?
First of all, I thank the organizers, National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. Dear children, parents and guardians, I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on this Pariksha Parv, the stress faced by the children during the examination. Before I say a few things, I just make a few confessions. First thing is that, see, I came to know about this talk only in this morning. I have a first-hand experience of what stress is. I can understand the children facing the stress. And also, the second thing, what I want to say is, today's children, I would rather appreciate the capacity to bear with the stress. When we were children some 30 years back, 30 or 35 years back, the amount of stress we had to face was much, much less. Especially the world has changed altogether. The competitions, the social media, the television. Earlier when we were children, we didn't have television also. Right? And now the cricket competition, IPL, is going on. So many other tournaments, etc. And this is being widely covered in the television and other media. And now the telephones, the mobile phones, the smartphones, all these we did not have. So the present day children have to cope up with so much of stress. So instead of me speaking to you, rather I think we should learn quite a few things from the children, how they handle this and still are performing well in the schools and elsewhere also. And third thing is, I'm not so much conversant with Hindi, so I may have to give most of the time I have to speak only in English. Right? As far as possible, I'll try to say something in Hindi in between. So with these few confessions, I try to begin. And this examination stress, it's a very interesting topic. Naturally, we think that the stress is only for a few people. Normally, even elders, what to speak of children, we think that the stress is only for us. Others may not have it. But this is quite natural, having stress during just before you want to perform something, even if it is a cultural show, and what to speak of examination when the whole future is going to be decided by this examination. So it's natural to have stress, right? Even Swami Vivekananda, if you have read the life of Swami Vivekananda, he went to Chicago to attend the World Parliament of Religion. Now we all know Swami Vivekananda as a great orator, one of the greatest orator in the world, we all know. But the first day, on the 11th of September 1893, when he was the beginning, the first session of the Parliament of Religions in 1893 at Chicago, when he was called upon to speak, the first day everyone had to introduce himself, the religion they represented and which country they came from. For a few minutes of introductory note they have to give. So the first day when he was called upon to speak, he was simply postponing. He was so nervous. He was so nervous sitting on the chair, on the dais, facing thousands of, now probably lakhs and lakhs of people will be watching an event. There were a few thousand people only, and Swamiji was so nervous to speak. He was simply postponing, and late in the evening around 3 o'clock, it's the Parliament of Religion started around 9 or 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock it started, and at 3 o'clock he somehow mustered himself to speak, and what he spoke was a history. So the stress, this tension, what we say, is common. Even the great performers have had this kind of a tension. We also learn, we all know about Sachin Tendulkar. Right? He was such a great cricketer. But every match before going to bat, he used to be feeling tense, right? Nervous. Every encounter was a fresh encounter for him. Like we are going to give an exam, so maybe after 2 years only we'll be giving another exam. The children will be giving another exam, 10th standard exam, means 12th standard exam they have to give after 2 years. But see, every week he has to give a test, and lakhs, crores of people watching the television, lakhs of people sitting in the stadium and watching him, and the moment he fails, the whole country will be upon him. Just imagine the stress he used to feel. So this children must first of all, children and even the elders like us, we also should first understand the stress is not only for us. Every individual, every performer, every great performer has to face this stress. And without this stress, life will be monotonous. There is no challenge in life, right? So we should look upon stress as something positive. We should be able to handle the stress rather than trying to avoid stress. Whatever chance comes, whenever an opportunity comes, we should be able to stand up against the stress, right? We need not look for such tense situations. Tense situations do arrive in our approaches during our lifetime, so we should be able to face that, right, as it comes. So we should take the positives. It has got both negative and the positive side. The negative side is it makes us a mental wreck, right? It tires us. It gives us. It makes us stressful in life, right? Tension, so much of tension. It makes us sickly. But the positive side is you gain new experiences. You're ready to face new challenges in life. So the certain potentialities which you had never thought were within you. This acts as the stressful situation, the tense situation, acts as an opportunity to manifest that potentiality. We come to know about ourselves, right? We were not knowing that we will be able to do it, right? We will be able to do it, we did not know. But this stress atmosphere gives an opportunity that we manifest that potentialities within us. Now, when we say stress, now what is the cause of stress? That may be a natural question that comes to us. What is the cause of stress? So there are two factors which play. There are there is an internal factor, there is an external factor also, right? So the external factors we are very much aware. So people around us, the circumstances, right? The friends around us, or people coming and meeting us when we are preparing for the exam, then only a friend comes to us, right? Or some circumstances may arise in such a manner that we'll have to involve ourselves. Like somebody becomes sick in the house suddenly, all of a sudden, the whole atmosphere in the house changes, right? Which we had not expected before. Such unexpected happenings only causes stress, right? And also the work atmosphere, right? Suddenly certain thing comes up in the work, right? And you're stressed, you'll have to work day in and day out to complete that work. So the work atmosphere can also cause stress. And also the time factor, we have given a certain time to prepare for the exam is coming in sometime in March, right? We may be thinking sometime in, say, September, and when this whole syllabus for the classes are over, right, by September or October. So we have 6 months time, we can comfortably sit and prepare. But we have whiled away our time in different activities. There were so many cricket matches, so many movies, so many other programs we have been watching, whiling away our time. Suddenly when January, one more month is there, we can still prepare, right? And then we are stressed, just a month and a half ahead is there for preparing for the exams. So time is also a factor. These are external factors. And there are some internal factors also, like the body, right, the mind, the emotions, right? These are the body and mind complex. This creates also obstacles. We set a goal, say we'll be preparing such and such a thing before say January or February, before the exam comes sometime in March. Suddenly you fall sick, right? Body also acts as an obstacle. We were not expecting that, right? And mind is always distracted. It is not, whenever we say, there are many people coming to us saying that, see, we sincerely sit down to study, but our mind is so distracted. What we used to do, say, for which we used to complete, say, in 1 hour. Now repeatedly we read for, say, 3-4 hours. Still it is not getting inside our mind. The mind is so distracted, right? This is another factor. And also the emotions, like the anxiety, right? Anxiety, I should perform well, I should get first mark in the class, I should get 90% marks, 95% marks, right? And also my friend has done well in the pre-board test, right? He has done well, I should outscore him. And the parents also causing a lot of stress upon the child. You should come first, you should get more than 90%, you should get into engineering college, you should get into you should get a medical seat. All these are the emotional stress that that causes that causes a lot of tension among the children. So it's one's capacity, one's ability to handle all those external and the internal factors which contribute a stressful mind, right? So this, if somebody is capable of handling this, then he comes out successful. So stress one cannot avoid. It is only it's a part of our life. It is only how to meet this challenge of a stressful atmosphere, right? How to meet this, that makes a person successful, right?
So स्वामी जी ने हमें बहुत important points बताए. उन्होंने हमें बताया कि stress तो बड़े लोगों को भी हुआ है. उन्होंने स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का एग्जाम्पल भी दिया. लेकिन स्ट्रेस का कॉज क्या है? एक्सटर्नल होते हैं फैक्टर्स, कुछ इंटरनल फैक्टर्स होते हैं, और उन फैक्टर्स पर यदि हम काबू पा सकें, यदि उनको हम अपने हिसाब से उनको थोड़ा एक रूटीन बनाएं और जानें कि वो प्रॉब्लम्स क्यों हो रही हैं, तो हम स्ट्रेस से डील अच्छी तरीके से कर सकते हैं. स्वामी जी, सिंस वी हैव पेरेंट्स एंड टीचर्स एज वेल वाचिंग अस, there is a question from Aisha. She's from Delhi, and she asks us, how do I deal with my family's disappointment if my results are not good? मैं अपने फैमिली के डिसअपॉइंटमेंट को कैसे उसको फेस करूं अगर मेरे मार्क्स अच्छे नहीं आते हैं तो. एंड यू टॉक्ड अबाउट इट ब्रीफली, सो व्हाट वुड यू लाइक टू
See,
टेल?
as a student, his duty is to prepare for the exam. There should not be, see, there should not be any, there should not be any loss of effort. There should not be any lack of effort on the part of the student preparing for the exam. That is his duty, because the student's duty is to prepare himself for the exam or study well. It's not just for earning a livelihood, right? It is just not for earning a good pay package one will get. It's not just that. See, our studies should, our education should help us gain some skill sets. After all, we are going to, when we become elders, we'll be in the work environment, we'll be able to serve people, right? One of the greatest contribution of Swami Vivekananda is service of God in man, right? All the secular activities can also be turned into a spiritual activity if we do this with a right attitude. So our education should be should help us in gaining some skill sets. Some may be a good engineer, some may be a good doctor, right? Some will come out as a good lawyer, right? So that aptitude which he has for a particular profession, right? He harnesses it, right? So that he'll be able to serve the society in a better way, right? Not only he'll be earning for himself and his own family, right? He should be able to serve we should be able to give something good for the others, right? So education has, our ancient scriptures, there are two aspects of education, right? So sa vidya ya vimuktaye, they say it. That is vidya, that is what is called as education, that will liberate a person, right? Our secular education will liberate us to a certain extent, right? We may be having, we may come from a very, very poor family, right? We may get well educated, we get a good job, you get a good profession, you get a good pay packet, all this will come. So that will liberate us to certain extent. We have better opportunities in life there, right, because of our earnings. So it has liberated us to some extent. But this is not complete liberation. In spite of having being in a wealthy family, people suffer of old age, people suffer of diseases, right? Sufferings, there is no end of sufferings merely by the secular knowledge. There is something higher than this knowledge. It should prepare us for that. The secular knowledge should prepare us for something higher, right? So there's a service, attitude of service is very important there.
So there's something related that Kanika from Bhilai asks us. She's saying nowadays the value of degree is decreasing. She feels that. Is formal education required then?
Formal education is definitely required. Formal education is because it should serve the purposes of the time, the circumstances now, the period now. We are passing through this, right, where the scientific knowledge is given a greater value, right? So scientific knowledge is important. The secular knowledge is also important, as well as something which is very, very unique for the Indian culture, the spiritual knowledge. We should also augment the secular knowledge with the spiritual. This is not something new. We were during the ancient times, we were great in all fields of the secular fields also, and we also held together our values, right? So the responsibility of us, we should not, this is one of the important things, we keep blaming on others, right? We should take the responsibility on ourselves. Why the values have fallen? It is we are not something different from this present society. We are also a part of the society. We are also contributing to this degradation of this value, isn't it? So it should be a responsibility of each and every individual that, he lives according to the values which he learns from home, which he learns from the school, which he learns from the society. There should be opportunities for him to learn, for the child to learn from the society, from the children, the values, right? Unfortunately, we are taught, I mean, a very selfish attitude. See, you should look for yourself, right? Man for himself, right? Man for himself. And God is for all. God will look after everything. We should look after our own selves only.
So, Kanika, I hope your question is answered. That's a very interesting question. Nishant from Faridabad, he asks us, how can spirituality help in studies?
Spirituality, see, Swami Vivekananda used to say, right, our true nature is the infinite self. Our true nature is the infinite self. We have unlimited knowledge. Our true nature is that. Our knowledge is unlimited. We are eternally existing, right? So this body cannot live for long. It is known to us. And our knowledge is also very limited. Our knowledge is also our, if an engineer may not know everything, the intricacies of a medicine man, a lawyer, etc. So our knowledge is also limited to certain areas only. So this cannot be our true nature, right? So our ancient scriptures say our true nature is your infinite self. There is no death for you, right? You have knowledge is infinite. So Swamiji used to say, Swami Vivekananda, we used to call him as Swamiji. He used to say that if a person knows that he is the infinite self, the Atman is a technical term, is a scriptural term for the self. When you know a person, a fisherman, if he knows he is the Atman, his nature is infinite. A carpenter, if he knows he's an infinite self. A student, if he knows if he is an infinite self, then he'll be a better fisherman. The person will be a better carpenter. A student will be a better student. Right? Our true nature, spirituality should help us to know our true nature. We are not this little beings. We are infinite beings, right?
Yeah.
So that way it should help. It is the only way that we can acquire knowledge. You can become a better student.
स्वामी जी हमें बता रहे हैं कि आध्यात्म स्पिरिचुअलिटी हमें किस तरह से पढ़ाई में हमारी मदद कर सकता है यदि हम अपने आप को अच्छे से जानते हैं, जिसमें जो आध्यात्म जिसमें हमारी मदद करता है, तो हम कोई भी कार्य अगर कर रहे हो तो उसको हम और अच्छे से करते हैं क्योंकि हम अपने आप को जानते हैं. So I hope Nishant, your question is answered as well. Rishi from Kanpur asks, society does not value those who are not good in studies, and we see this is quite common. Kids are judged, children are judged. How do they face this?
People who are good at studies are not, they do not get their, they are not judged well. That's
who
what
are not good in studies, yeah.
Who are not good in studies.
They are not judged well. The society judges them. That's what Rishi feels.
See, every individual has certain potentials. Definitely a person, right, Swami Vivekananda used to give a wonderful example. Say a king and a cobbler. A thing which a king can do, a cobbler may not be able to do. A cobbler, what he is good at, a king may not be able to do it. Right? So everything contributes to the society. We should be able to appreciate the potentials of every being. Right? Every being. There is a wonderful verse in Gita. Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. By own, swakarmana means one's own duties, performing one's own duties. One may be placed in different levels in the society. If one performs those duties, right, as a worship of God, swakarmana tamabhyarcha, tam means that, God, if the God is worshipped, if a cobbler, if he is attending to his customer, thinking God himself as one, come here, it is a human being, right? And I am doing this job for him, and as best as possible I should try to do it. The satisfaction he gets, right? Naturally it will be rewarded physically also if a person does a good job, right, in his work. So he'll be rewarded. Swakarmana, by his own duties, right? Tam abhyarcha, worshipping him. Siddhim, one gets siddhi, right? One gets success, becomes successful in life. So successful according to the scriptural terms is one becomes liberated. One comes to know his true nature, right? One gets liberated from this misconception that I am this little being. Right? That is itself, that is what is called as ignorance. Ignorance about your own self. Right? I am the infinite self. I have forgotten, I am thinking that I am little being like this. I am a pygmy. Right? I am not able to do this, I am able to do this. I am not able to do that. Right? That all these negativities will go. Right? So, I mean, it is a wrong notion to to not to appreciate a person who is. I mean, we see in the society it's a lopsided society. People think that people are acquiring only bookish knowledge. Yeah. I mean, he has got so many marks, and we rate people according to the marks one gets in the exams. Yes. Right? He may not be practical also. He may not know how to apply it. A successful person in the theoretical knowledge, bookish knowledge, may not be successful in the practical field also, right? So that we can see, observe around us. So we should be able to appreciate the goodness in different people, right? Different fields they are good at. We should appreciate the goodness in all people. That way we are worshipping the God. God only is manifesting through the different things, all that is good. All that is, I mean, good gets manifested in different person. God gets manifested through the good part of his contribution to the society, right? So when we appreciate the goodness in a person, we are worshipping God thereby. Swamiji says, Swami Vivekananda says.
ऋषि, आशा है आपको आपके प्रश्न का उत्तर मिला होगा. स्वामी जी, we have another question. Competitive exams require patience. How do I deal with that? And I think there's no better person to ask about patience and concentration than you. So how do children gain more patience, and how do they increase their concentration?
There is no there is no second effort, right? Trying to bring back the mind in a thing which he wants to concentrate. There is no shortcut to, other than that. Repeatedly trying to bring back the mind to the task which he has been assigned to him, right? Studies. He's trying to. He should. I mean, it requires a long preparation also. See, you're watching TV all through the day, and then evening you want to come and sit and study. Naturally, the mind is distracted by all the things which you have been doing throughout the day. Right? So one should be constantly aware of one's duties, right? A student, his duty is to study well, right? He should not totally be forgetful of this thing. The constant awareness of one's duties, what one has to perform. At the end of the day, I should do this, I should achieve this. This should be live all through the day. One should not forget that. We get immersed in so many other activities, and ultimately come and evening when we take the book in hand and try to concentrate, it will not happen. Right? So many factors are there. Food is a factor. Activities are also a factor. You run and play the whole day, and then come in the evening. Naturally, you will feel tired. You overeat in the afternoon, and you have planned to study in the afternoon. After eating, you overeat. And then that also is a factor that will disturb the mind. So the lifestyle itself has to change, right? There is no magic formula. You do this and you will achieve this. No. constantly being aware of what one should do. That is more important.
Yeah. So you're saying that for students it's important to take care of their nutrition, what they're doing, what they're feeding their mind as well constantly throughout the day, and their body as well. But are there some practical tips to make sure that as a monk and as someone who has
we can meditate. I mean, we can have meditation as a practice which we can do in the mornings and the evenings before we sit down to study, right? And initially, we should not strain yourself in meditation also, right? Many people come to us, I've been meditating I can sit and meditate for 1 hour, and I try to concentrate in my head. That is a very dangerous practice. Concentrating in the forehead, the beginning itself, unless one's mind is trained, right? One cannot concentrate on the forehead. Swami Vivekananda said the heart is the best place to concentrate, right? There one can think of, the Hindus have a symbol, sacred symbol, Om, right, as a bright and effulgent Om we can think of. Trying to gather the mind in one place. This is a practice. Or one can think of a light in the heart which brings the mind together, right? So these are certain practices one can do. Make meditation as a practice, as a habit, both in the evenings and the morning. Not for too long, maybe 10-15 minutes, right? It should be enjoyable exercise. It should not be, a strenuous effort. That should not tire a person, right? That should not make him a mental wreck also.
Yeah. No? So you mentioned about the food that goes into the kids. They sometimes overeat. So one thing that's something that can be avoided. We have Vishal. He's a parent actually, and he asks us, do children need to exercise regularly during COVID?
Of course. Not only during COVID. COVID, our physical movements are restricted. We may not be able to go out and do a workout. We cannot go out and play. Of course, some asanas are good. Yoga asanas are good. But otherwise, the children do require some kind of a recreation. Again, that optimum thing is needed, right? One should, it should be like playing games or other sports activities should be a recreation, right? Maybe some for whom it's going to be a profession, he may spend the whole day. They also have to lead a very disciplined life. A person like Tendulkar and all, right? Yes. What a disciplined life they had to lead, the cricketers or any other sport. They have to lead a very disciplined life. They cannot live the way they want. And they are also very, very focused in it. So for a student, he has to naturally focus on the studies. That is very important, isn't it? Yeah. So the recreation for exercises as well as some kind of a sport during normal days, it is very important. Because those days we didn't have television, we didn't have this mobile phones, we can watch the whole day long, and then the day passes away. That is that has become a recreation now. Yeah. Yes. Right? Without we making any effort, we are watching somebody playing for us. Yes. Right? So for the freshness of mind, one should have kind of a recreation. And that should be for an optimal time, not too much of activity, and too less of activities also brings in dullness.
Can an average student be successful in life? And I think we keep getting questions around this. Students are stressed also because of the fact what's going to happen to them in future, and because of the parameters of success, how success has been defined. So what would you like to tell Sukanya from Gandhinagar?
An average student can be successful in life.
Can an average student be successful?
Definitely successful. Being successful in life, it doesn't mean that one should be a very good student, or a poor student cannot be successful in life, or an average student be successful. Life itself is a different field, right? How you manage people around us, how you organize your own lives. Those skills are not taught in the schools. Right? How to deal with people, right? What should be the goal of life? How to manage people around you? How should one live in a society? How should one live in a family? When a girl goes to a in-laws house, the mother teaches the girl how you should behave. That is not being taught in the school or any other curriculum, right? That is now we have two parallel curriculum going on. One is the school of life and the school of profession, right? So maybe all professionally successful people may not be successful in life. There are many examples, glaring examples available in our life itself, right? And many may not be very successful in their professions, or maybe may not be good in their studies, but they have led a very peaceful life, a good life. They are able to bring up their children in a good way, right?
Yeah.
All this is there. So life is totally a different field, and the professional field is a different field. If you are able to integrate it, then the life becomes more successful,
Yes.
right? More successful.
So studies are a part of your life, they're not life itself, and there are so many other ways in which you can contribute to the society. There are so many skill sets you as an individual have. So Kanya, I hope your question is answered. This is also an interesting question. I don't have the name of the person here. We have heard of irregularities in the assessment system. That's a fear that students have. What if my marks are adversely affected? Should a student be worried about that?
So definitely before going for the exam, he should not be worried about all this. Right? He should be focused on what he has to do.
Okay, this is Priya from Ranchi. Yeah. So Priya, your question is being answered.
So I mean, he should not unnecessarily waste his mental energies, waste his time thinking about what is going to happen if it is not assessed properly. Your duty is to study well, right? And there is one more important thing, which many of us, it's the fashion of the day that we don't, God, worshipping God, prayers to God, we don't believe very much these days. There is a wonderful verse in Gita. Gita is it's a very useful guide for our life. It's very practical teaching.
Yes.
So in order to execute any work, there are 5 factors involved, right? 5 factors are involved in performing any work, studies or giving exams or any other work. There are 5 factors: adhishtanam, tatha karta, karanancha. I'll translate it in English, the each and every word. It comes in the 18th chapter, the 14th verse, right? You can see the Gita also, 18th verse, 18th chapter, 14th verse it is. Adhishtanam, tatha karta, karanancha prutak vidham, vividhascha prutak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchamam. Right? Adhishtanam, this body, right? We should keep it properly before performing any a task. This body should be firm, right? It should not be sickly. Like going for the exam a few days before I fall sick, then my preparations will be affected by that, right? So this body should be firm. Adhishtanam. This body is an adhishtanam. It is a foundation where the real self resides. The Atman, Karta means the doer. The Atman, the individual self, resides in this body. This is an adhishthana. This is a foundation for this thing to operate in this world. So adhishtanam, tatha karta. The attitude of the karta also is important. The doer, right? A performer in the exam, prepare a person who is preparing. He is a karta. His body is his adhishtanam. Adhishtanam, tatha karta. Karanam. Karanam means our instruments, eyes, ears, etc., with which we observe things, we experience the external world. These are instruments. The eyes, etc., are the instrument with which we experience the external world. When we read, right, we make use of the eyes. We make use of the mind to keep things in memory, like that. So these instruments, the karana, these should not be abused. This is given for a particular purpose. It should not be abused. I should not watch TV for a long time. I should not keep watching late in the night, the mobile phone everywhere. It is dark, spoil your eyes. This is meant for some other purpose.
Yes.
Right? Adhishtanam tatha karta, karanam cha prutak, karanam, vividhascha prutak cheshta. So different efforts we make. We go to the tuition, we read by this book, and read. We could take the help of our friends, we take the help of teachers, right? We give mock tests. These are cheshta, different efforts which we make. Vividhascha pratak cheshta. These an individual makes. He keeps his body firm, right? He makes a proper use of his instruments, the eyes, etc. And then he has a right attitude for the exam, right? And also vividhascha, and he also makes whatever necessary efforts to become successful in the exam. These are the 4 factors which is in the individual's hand. Daivam chaivatra panchamam. But it is a God. There is a hidden factor. There is a hidden factor who determines what I will get. I have made all efforts. Right? It is a God who determines. Right? There are so many theories. I know I'm not going into that. The karma theory and all is there. What I will get, it is determined by my past. What I have done, I'll get it now. Right? So there are so many factors which we need not bother. Only thing what we can do is we can pray. I have made all my efforts. I have come for this session. Right? I was also quite nervous before coming, how it is going to work out, because all of a sudden I have been, even if I had been given time, the same nervousness would have remained. But ultimately I have to surrender to God. God, make it successful, make it useful. Successful means it's not that I give a very good rendition, it's not that. It should be useful for the people who are hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a 5th factor, which is God. We should pray to God. We should take the blessings of elders before going to the exam, the teachers, the parents, etc. Right? We should not quarrel. Arey, you don't give me time to read. You ask me to do this work, that work. You tell to fight with your mom and then go for the exam. Not seeking her blessing. Anyway, the blessings of the parents will be there. But the mind of the child, right, should be receptive to accept that blessing. Right? So we should not forget the 5th factor also, praying to God and seeking the blessings of the elders, so that all my efforts become useful, all the efforts all coincides and brings me success. Right?
So the whole effort of this conversation, this interaction, even otherwise, is to make taking exams easier for our children, to give them certain comfort, emotional, psychological comfort. But there's something very important that you said, Swamiji, and I hope you people paid attention to it. Not misusing the instruments that have been given to us. How
abuse
much,
it. Don't abuse it.
Don't abuse it. So I think tapasya or sacrifice is an important element of a child's life. What would you like to say about that?
Especially the life of a student is a life as a tapasya. Right? Tapasya means in the olden days they have to. The children have to go to the Gurukula, live a life of hardship there, serving the Guru and his family. And then the Guru will teach them, and then he has to look after the Gurukula, serving the Guru, everything he has to do, and apart from that he will get educated also. Right? The whole life was focused. Right? It is only by the Guru's grace that he gets the education. But the present day, the Guru and the teacher, there is a big gap. Right? Many people don't have to go to the school also, join the coaching center. Right? There also is not treated as a Guru. Right? This is a success formula, we take it.
Yeah.
So that system has changed. Right? So, I mean, at least under the present circumstances, they should be focused in the studies, have respect for the elders, right, and also do not abuse their opportunities, right. So they should lead a very disciplined, mentally and physically, a disciplined life, right. So purity of mind is very, very important to retention of knowledge, acquiring a fresh knowledge. Purity of mind is a very important factor, right. Say, for example, you have a mirror. If you have a mirror, right, so and if it is covered with dust, will you be able to see your face reflection properly? It will be distorted, right. So our own intellects are like the mirror, right. So all these dirty thoughts and dirty things which we keep brooding over, which we keep thinking all that this thing, day long. They are simply covering the intellect and distorts what we try to read or what we try to acquire, what we see. Right? It takes a distorted a picture of it. So the mental purity itself is a tapasya. Studies is a tapasya. The children should be ready for this hardship. It is not a comfortable life. That it is not through comfortable life that one gains knowledge. Hardships, right? Hardships are the greatest teachers. Swamiji says in Swami Vivekananda, in The Secret of Work, Karma Yoga. There is a small booklet on Karma Yoga. There is the first chapter of The Secret of Work. Right? It is hardships which is a better teacher, is a good teacher than the comfortable life. Children should be prepared for that. Children should be prepared for the hardships in the life. Right? That is what it is.
Yeah. So while it's important not to take undue stress on yourself, not to work, work up yourself, it's important to lead a disciplined life as a student.
One more thing, when you said, stress, one of the important reasons for stress is looking for the results first.
That's very important.
For putting the cart ahead of the bullock, right? We look for the results. That is why we become more stressed. Instead, the thoughts, the energies which are focused on what I will gain after doing well in this exam. If that energy, if that effort is put in gaining knowledge, right, the results will automatically follow. Right? It is instead of driven by the results, it should be driven by some other motive, a noble motive of acquiring knowledge. Right? Acquiring knowledge.
Rajesh asks us, I don't have a fixed time for study. Is this good or bad?
No, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah. Time management is one of the important factors. Right? So I should know what I should have a certain target. Say my exams are approaching in April, right? And if I have not made a target of studying this portion, that portion, right? That is why we have the tests, etc. If for the children who are not able to manage themselves, allocating time for the different subjects, right? So it is a school which is guiding them. Right? In the December we have an exam, a pre-board exam, so that the children prepare for that. At least so that by such preparation they are prepared for a bigger stage, right? The final examination. So definitely it is a bad thing. One does not have a particular routine, right? One should list down what are the do's, what I should do. Right? And then plan it accordingly. Then only can success come. Success does not come by itself, right? It does not come by itself. It is one's effort that brings in success. And preparation part is only in our hands. The success or failure is not in our hands. That is also one of the important concepts of Gita. Labha labho jaya jayo. Right? So you should perform actions without expecting the results, failure or success. You remain focused in your efforts to give the exams. The results will follow by itself. Whether it comes as a failure or it comes as a success, it's something different. Right? So our focus should be on preparation part.
तो स्वामी जी कह रहे हैं कि रिजल्ट्स के बारे में अधिक सोचने से हम ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस्ड होते हैं. अगर हम प्रोसेस पर ध्यान दें तो हम अपना स्ट्रेस रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं और एक रूटीन होना बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, आवश्यक है. Okay. Does superstition help in exams? Like, some people eat curd and sugar before stepping out, worshipping before exams. This is Kalpesh from Jagdalpur.
It may not help. One can prayerfulness is helpful, right? And if the parents are superstitious about it, why unnecessarily clash with them? If they want to take a little bit curd, okay, let me take it. What is wrong in that? Why should you quarrel with your parents? Hey, you are simply thrusting this on me. Why not listen to them? This is such a small thing, right? So it depends upon, what you are asked to do. If it's such a small thing, petty thing, why not simply take it and go away instead of wasting your energy fighting with this? This is all superstition, going against it. You may not have belief in it, but for the satisfaction of your parents, you may always do it. So the elders, they ask to do it, okay, as a mark of respect for them, why not do it? Right? It may, it may or may not help. Nobody knows what it is. You do not know whether it is helpful. You do not know whether it is not helpful. Why take the positive side? Why not take the positive side? Why take the negative side of it? This is all superstition. There's no point in that.
Sleep plays a vital role.
What?
Sleep.
Yes.
Plays a vital role. So we have a question: how to handle stress and have sound sleep a night before the exam? A lot of students have this habit of studying
Sleeping,
through the night, and then
which fortunately we did not have during our childhood. Fortunately, we did not have the habit of sitting through the night and preparing for the exam. Right? We used to go for an evening play and then come back and give the board exam the next day. Right? A little bit of recreation, it's not overdoing it. But sleep is a very, very important factor. Right? As far as what we heard from our elders is that morning time is a good time for studies, where the mind is fresh. You have a good sleep in the night, get up in the morning. It is only because that I may not get up, I may oversleep, I find it getting difficult to get up, that I sit through the night and then sleep the daytime. The whole cycle is disturbed, life cycle is disturbed. Right? Later on, this becomes a habit for say 15, 20 years during this course of your student life. Later on, it becomes difficult to get back to the normal way of life. There is so much of stress created in the family also because of all this. So the best habit would be to get up in the morning and read when the mind is fresh, prepare yourself, and then go early to sleep around 9 o'clock, 9:30. But unfortunately, this whole society is topsy-turvy now.
Yes.
Right?
There are too many agents of...
so, what best you can do, right? Definitely, at least before the exams, a couple of days before the exam, take a good sleep in the night. The day at least before the exam, you sleep well in the night. But that is also a matter of habit. Your cycle itself is different. And suddenly you go and change on a particular day to sleep the night before the exam, you may not get the sleep. Everything is a matter of habit, right? Say a particular time I'm in the habit of eating. At that particular time I feel hunger. Naturally it comes, right? So that is why a routine is a very important thing in life. Even the sleeping habits also is an important thing in life. So suddenly one fine day you will not get that sleep in the night. So it's for you to decide.
So as you mentioned earlier, having a routine is very important,
Very,
and having
very
a routine
important.
throughout the year.
Right.
Yeah. So Mishika from Delhi asks us, and I think you've answered this before, but if you have some other inputs, how and what kind of meditation to do during the exams?
See, naturally, when we have an exam, we are anxious about doing well in the exam. Naturally, this question I should write this way, that question I should write that way. These thoughts will come, right? It is better to stop those thoughts, right? Otherwise, our anxiety keeps on increasing only, right? You stand aside of all those, right? That is to be a witness to all this happening. I am not concerned about it. But it's a very, very difficult effort. That is why our scriptures, they suggest this. Those who have faith in a particular God, right? In a particular God, they can meditate on the form of that God, right? Possessed of infinite glories. All this is suggested. And Omkara is a good symbol for meditation. And light is a symbol of light. Light is a symbol of knowledge. That one can meditate in the heart. Right? These are the common processes of meditation, methods of meditation which is being prescribed. right? And it is a safe thing, right, to
Yes.
meditate on the heart, not on the forehead, which
As you
normally people are misunderstood it.
Mm.
Many youngsters come to us. I've been meditating. I can meditate for 1 hour in the heart, and then after that I feel a terrible headache and all that.
Mm.
That is a very dangerous place to meditate, in the place between the eyebrows. That is only for an advanced soul that he can meditate on that. Heart is a very good place to meditate. Heart is a seat of knowledge, right? Heart is a seat of knowledge. It is a place of intellect also, right? There one should meditate on the whatever form which is which he thinks is a very noble form, which is divine form. What is good for him, but that he can do. But heart is the place. I stress on that rather.
Yes. We'll probably just take this one last question. How to face poor appetite and inability to concentrate during exam, Vikas from Mayur Vihar.
Poor appetite, how to face the poor appetite and lack of concentration.
And lack of concentration. We've answered it, but
So it all depends on one's lifestyle, you know. This all becomes, it's not a magic formula. You do this and you will get a good appetite. We cannot say. I mean, what is easy for him to digest, that he should try and find out for himself, right? Some people may have a particular kind of food to eat that is easy to digest for them. Some may have some different kind. It depends upon the person, right? What is suitable for him, what he can digest. That is only a matter of test which he has to do with himself. And also the concentration, again, remain focused on what the goal of life, what he wants. Goal is very important factor in bringing the concentration. What goal I have, right, that determines where I can, regulates rather, where I should place my mind in, right, where I should bring my mind together. If I don't have a goal, sometimes this will look attractive, sometimes that is look attractive. That itself is a cause of distraction. One should have a particular goal in life. Having a goal is very, very important. That helps in bringing the mind together, remains focused. What I want in my life, say from now on, say 20 years, 25 years, what I would like to be, one should try to imagine. Right? Then fix up mind on a particular goal.
So finally, we have teachers and parents also watching this. What would you like to tell them? How do they make sure that giving exams become easier for children, but at the same time, the children are kept motivated and disciplined?
And they should be ready to face the challenges, that's all. See, we cannot make it easier. Right? Easier means diluting the whole thing. Right? You go give a question 2 plus 2 what it is in a 10th standard, the student makes it easier for him. Ultimately, does it gain anything out of it? Right? So things cannot become easier. Exams cannot become easier. Exams need to be tough, but children should be motivated. Children should be motivated. They should have a particular goal. Why I am reading, the purpose of studying should be important. They should prepare themselves for, they should acquire skills to face the future world. They'll be the future world, right? We are now past, right? Now the world is changing continuously, right? They should be alert and be able to understand what is happening around them. They should be ready for that, right? So that should be a greatest motivation for them. We cannot be a simply dullard, right? Without our education, one cannot face the future world. Now with the computer coming up, the revolution is, earlier it was agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, now it is a knowledge revolution has come. After the introduction of computers, internet, so many things, knowledge, you open your mobile phone, you get so much of knowledge in it, right? So they should be prepared. The future is what is there in the future is we do not know. We did not expect such a thing some 25 years back. Right? Now the elders are also going for computer learning. Right? They have not seen a computer some 25, 30 years back. Now they are going to learn computers. Right? So what is going to be another 20 years hence, We do not know. They should be able to face that, face the challenges, be bold and face the challenges. That is what is important. Do this and you will get it, you cannot say, but at least try to be focused in the studies. Studies are important. At the same time, a good moral life is important. A good routine life is important. Society is also important, as well as the studies are also important.
Yes. Swami ji, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
time. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
there's so many takeaways for everyone who's watching this. ये पूरे माह हम इस तरह के इंटरेक्शंस आप तक लाते रहेंगे. NCPCR और न्यू इंडिया जंक्शन के YouTube और Facebook चैनल्स पे ये लाइव स्ट्रीम होगा. आप प्लीज़ देखते रहिए इसे. Stay tuned for more. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for the patient listening.